Hey everyone, it's Jill Whalen from Victim of Thought and What Did You Do with Jill? Um, Today I want to answer a question Vanessa asked in the Victim of Thought group about unconscious thoughts creating feelings. And she asked if she wakes up feeling anxious, is that an example of unconscious thoughts? And yes, definitely. Anytime if you feel anxious but aren't aware of why, if you're just suddenly feeling anxious, it's because there's thoughts going on somewhere in your head that are anxious thoughts. That's all. That's all it is. And it most of the time we don't know that. Most of the time our thoughts are unconscious. It's very rarely we're aware of our thoughts. Which is fine. We don't have to be. That's the interesting thing. In the book, I talk about looking for evidence, seeking evidence to prove to yourself that your feelings of anxiety or whatever else are coming from thoughts. And that's a good thing to do at first, just to prove it. So like for me, if I started to feel anxious for no reason at all, I'd just be reading something or watching something, and suddenly my heart would start beating fast, and I'd be like, what the hell? But to prove to myself, okay, this is a good opportunity to test this theory about thoughts creating feelings. And so I would sort of search back in my mind and see, what was I just thinking about? And if I did that, I could find the anxious thought. I just started worrying about something, and it just came in, and that was just proof. But I don't think that's not something that's helpful to do on a regular basis. It's just solely to prove so you believe it, because a lot of people, it's a new concept. If you're new to this, believing that thoughts are what are creating those feelings of anxiety it doesn't really make sense, because that's not what we think. We just think, I don't know what we think, but it's a new concept. So the only reason to do that is just to prove it to yourself. And it doesn't take many times of searching back to see what the thought is to prove it. Then don't do it anymore, because it can be really disturbing. I've had people I've talked to who they don't want to be searching through their thoughts because they're not very nice thoughts. The good news about that is they're just thoughts. They're not who you are. They don't tell you anything about yourself. They're just the crazy person that lives in your head. So you don't have to get scared of them. But so I don't recommend finding them. But the whole thing with unconscious thoughts, that's everything. Like that's, for me, like I didn't know I was anxious my whole life. I didn't realize that in the back of my head, in my subconscious, my unconscious, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what the technical thing is, but somewhere swirling around in my head were a constant stream of anxious thoughts that I didn't know were there. That's the key right there. I didn't know they were there, but they left me with a constant feeling of anxiety, always just with me. I didn't even know I was anxious. That to me was normal. Like you're just supposed to feel always on guard or always a little bit scared. I don't even know how to, you all know what anxiety feels like. That was my life until it wasn't there anymore. The constant feeling of anxiety. So I didn't know, I wasn't having anxious thoughts consciously all the time. I was just going about my life, doing my business. But somewhere deep in my brain were all these anxious thoughts. They had to be. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been feeling anxiety. It was only later when they were gone, mostly, the constant stream was gone. That's definitely gone from my life on a regular basis. And that was just from generally observing my thoughts during the day, just noticing thoughts. And then the layers of thoughts started to disappear the more I noticed them. It was simple. I didn't judge them or anything like that. I didn't do anything with them. I just noticed them. Noticed that I was thinking, because I didn't know I was thinking, because all those thoughts were just swirling around in the back of my head. So for me, and I don't know if this works for everybody, but for me, that was what helped those thoughts to not be so constant in my head. And then when my head was clearer, I just felt better. Now, if an event happens that I decide is anxiety provoking, I'll my head will go and I'll get that anxiety feeling again. But it's not something I constantly live with. And I know it will pass when it comes now. And trust me, I believe in the, I believe in those thoughts when they're happening usually. And it's not, I even as much as I could tell myself, oh, it's just thoughts, that's not helpful. So I just, ride it out. It passes. Whatever event that seemed to trigger it usually works itself out one way or another, or it becomes the new normal. All right, I won't go on any longer. I can't believe how fast these things go by. It's already been 6 minutes. So I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.